Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling in silence, wondering why you can't fall back asleep? No loud noise, no bad dream, just you and the quiet. That early hour when the world is still often becomes the most unsettling moment of the night. It feels as if time slows down and suddenly you're left alone with your thoughts, your body, and a question you can't quite answer. Why now? This experience isn't uncommon. In fact, millions of people, especially those over the age of 50, find themselves waking up around this exact time, night after night. For some, it happens occasionally. For others, it's almost like clockwork. And while it's tempting to label it as insomnia or blame it on aging, the truth is often more layered, more revealing, and yes, more hopeful. What if this isn't just a random interruption in your rest? What if your body and mind are sending you a message? A gentle nudge asking for attention, reflection, or care. In this video, we'll explore 9 powerful reasons why 3 a.m. wake-ups happen, rooted in biology, psychology, lifestyle, and even the soul. We'll go beyond the surface to understand what's really going on inside you. Because the more you understand these moments, the more empowered you become, not just to fall back asleep, but to find peace in the middle of the night. This isn't just about sleep. It's about understanding yourself in a deeper way. Aging brings change, yes, but also awareness. And maybe, just maybe, this quiet hour is a gift in disguise. So if you've ever opened your eyes at 3 a.m. and whispered, "Oh, why now?" You're not alone, and you're not broken. You're human. Let's explore what this moment really means together. 1. The melatonin drop, a natural shift in chemistry. Let's begin with one of the most basic but overlooked factors: melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone your brain produces in response to darkness. It's the natural signal that tells your body it's time to wind down. When you were younger, your melatonin levels would rise in the evening, stay high through the night, and gently drop as morning approached, keeping you in a deep, uninterrupted sleep. But as you age, that smooth cycle begins to shift. Studies show that melatonin production decreases significantly with age. By the time you're in your 50s or 60s, your body may produce only half as much melatonin as it did when you were younger. Not only that, but the timing of your melatonin release may also shift, peaking earlier in the night and dropping off much sooner, often around 3 a.m. This natural drop can be enough to rouse you from sleep, especially if your environment adds to the challenge. A small light from a phone charger, the street light outside your window, the soft glow of your digital clock. All of these seemingly minor sources of light can interfere with your melatonin and reduce its effects even further. And here's something else to consider. As we get older, our eyes become more sensitive to light at night and less efficient at absorbing natural light during the day. That means we're more vulnerable to artificial light at night, and we often don't get enough daylight exposure to keep our internal clocks properly aligned. So how can you help your body produce and maintain more melatonin? First, give yourself at least 30 to 60 minutes of dim lighting before bed. Avoid screens if you can, or use blue light filters. If you wake up in the night, resist the urge to check your phone. Even a few seconds of bright light can disrupt your brain's ability to settle back into sleep. Second, get exposure to morning sunlight. This helps set your circadian rhythm and tells your body when to start producing melatonin. Later that evening. Third, consider melatonin-rich foods or supplements. Tart cherries, walnuts, almonds, and oats all support natural melatonin production. A warm cup of chamomile or passion flower tea can also help signal your body that it's time to rest. And lastly, be patient with yourself. This isn't about fixing a problem. It's about adapting to change. Melatonin levels shifting with age is normal. You're not doing anything wrong. But with just a few thoughtful adjustments, you can work with your body instead of against it. and begin to reclaim the rest you deserve. Now that we've explored the hormonal side, let's move into another powerful reason behind your 3 a.m. wake-ups: the quiet shift in your body's internal clock. To note, shifted sleep cycle, when your internal clock moves ahead. Have you ever noticed yourself nodding off earlier than you used to, maybe even before 9 p.m., and waking up at 3 a.m., wide awake, long before the sun rises? This shift isn't random. It's a natural process that many people experience as they get older, and it's deeply rooted in how our internal biological clock, or circadian rhythm, evolves with age. This phenomenon is known as Advanced Sleep Phase Syndrome, ASPS. As we age, the brain's timing system begins to signal sleepiness earlier in the evening. This shift often causes people to fall asleep much earlier than they're used to, sometimes as early as 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., and wake up in the middle of the night, often around 3 a.m., after completing a full sleep cycle. Unlike insomnia, which is characterized by difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, ASPS is not a disorder. Your body has simply adjusted to a new rhythm. The challenge is that modern life isn't built around a 3 a.m. wake-up time. When you're up and alert before everyone else, it can feel isolating and frustrating, even though your body is technically doing exactly what it's supposed to do. This change is often made more noticeable by lifestyle shifts that come with aging. Retirement, fewer daily responsibilities, and a reduction in social activities mean less structure in the day. People eat dinner earlier, relax sooner in the evening, and without realizing it, slide into a routine that reinforces earlier bedtimes. Without strong external cues to help maintain a later schedule, like work, evening plans, or exposure to bright light, your internal clock naturally drifts earlier. Let's look at an example. Margaret, a 66-year-old former nurse, found herself in bed by 8:30 p.m. every night, simply out of boredom. She didn't feel particularly tired, but the house was quiet. The TV shows she liked had ended, and she didn't have plans to talk to anyone. Unsurprisingly, her body started waking her up around 3 a.m., fully rested, but confused about why she couldn't sleep longer. Once she understood what was happening, she started adding more structure to her evenings, calling a friend around 9 p.m., doing light stretching, or reading with a bright lamp, and occasionally taking short walks under the stars. After a few weeks, her bedtime gradually shifted to 10:30 p.m., and she started sleeping until 5:30 a.m. So what can you do if you're waking up at 3 a.m. due to a shifted sleep cycle? Stay mentally and physically engaged in the evening. Read something stimulating, watch a movie, or talk to a friend. Increase exposure to bright light during the late afternoon and early evening. Light is one of the most powerful tools for resetting your internal clock. Delay dinner slightly. Eating around 6:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. can help push your whole evening routine later. Avoid naps after 3 p.m. Late naps reduce your sleep pressure at night and may cause earlier bedtimes. Establish an intentional bedtime routine that lasts until at least 10 p.m. Include winding down activities like gentle yoga, journaling, or relaxing music. These strategies aren't about forcing your body into something unnatural. They're about gently guiding your rhythm back toward alignment with your goals and lifestyle. Because even if your biology wants to call it a night early, your life doesn't have to end at 8 p.m. With a bit of awareness and structure, you can stretch your evenings, reduce those early wake-ups, and get the rest you need on your terms. Up next, we'll explore a different, but equally important, reason your body may be waking you at 3 a.m. Physical discomfort. Let's talk about what your body might be trying to tell you. 3. Physical discomfort, the body's quiet wake-up call. Sometimes, the reason you're waking up at 3 a.m. isn't psychological, emotional, or even hormonal. It's physical. The older we get, the more sensitive our bodies become to subtle discomforts, that, while tolerable during the day, have the power to quietly wake us during the stillness of the night. Let's start with one of the most common culprits: joint pain. As the body ages, conditions like arthritis or general stiffness in the muscles and joints can create pressure or pain when you lie in the same position for too long. This discomfort builds slowly, pushing you out of deeper stages of sleep into lighter sleep and often into full wakefulness. Many people don't even realize that it's physical discomfort causing them to stir until they start paying close attention. Another major reason is nocturia, the need to urinate at night. As bladder elasticity decreases and hormonal changes occur, many older adults experience a stronger and more frequent urge to relieve themselves. Even if you fall back asleep afterward, this interruption can still break your natural sleep rhythm and leave you more alert than rested. Gastrointestinal discomfort can also play a role. Acid reflux or indigestion can occur when you've eaten dinner late or consumed foods that don't agree with your system. Lying flat can allow stomach acid to move upward, causing a subtle burning sensation that pulls you out of sleep. Temperature sensitivity is another common issue. As we age, our internal temperature regulation becomes less efficient. A room that's too warm or too cold, or even the simple shift of air from a fan or an open window, can disturb your sleep. A blanket that once felt cozy may now feel too heavy or too light. And don't overlook other seemingly minor disturbances. Leg cramps, dry mouth, nasal congestion, or even a subtle itch can be just enough to fully rouse you from a peaceful slumber. The good news is that these physical causes are often manageable. Start by tuning into your body with awareness and curiosity. Keep a journal by your bed and note what time you wake up, how your body feels, and any patterns you notice. Did you eat something different that evening? Did you forget to stretch before bed? Did you drink enough water? Or maybe too much? Here are a few practical adjustments to consider. Invest in a high-quality mattress and pillow that support your preferred sleeping position. Keep your bedroom slightly cool, around 65 degrees tuir, 18 C, to promote better rest. Avoid heavy meals and spicy foods in the evening, and finish dinner at least 2 or 3 hours before bed. Use a wedge pillow or elevate the head of your bed if you suffer from acid reflux. Practice gentle stretching or yoga before sleep to reduce muscle tension. Most importantly, don't brush off your body's signals. Waking up because of discomfort isn't a weakness. It's your body asking for better care. And once you start listening, you'll likely find your way back to deeper, more restful nights. Part 4. Emotional restlessness, when the mind won't stay quiet. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't always about physical discomfort or changing sleep hormones. Sometimes, the root cause is quieter and much deeper. It's the mind, the emotions, the thoughts we push aside during the day that return in the silence of the night. As we grow older, life inevitably brings with it a tapestry of emotions: loss, regret, longing, love, and unspoken worries. During the day, we stay busy. We run errands, talk to family, watch television, scroll through our phones. But at 3 a.m., when everything is still, the distractions fade. And what's left is us. Just us and our thoughts. Many people describe these 3 a.m. moments as feeling haunted by unfinished conversations, old decisions, or questions like, did I live the right way? Or, what comes next? You may find yourself thinking about the past, lost relationships, missed chances, or feeling anxious about the future, especially around health, independence, or mortality. These aren't just worries, they're reflections. And they often come to visit in the early morning hours when you're most vulnerable. But here's something important. This emotional stirring isn't a flaw. It's not a sign that something is wrong. In fact, it may be proof that you're growing more conscious, more deeply in tune with your life, your legacy, and your values. The truth is, 3 a.m. can be an emotional checkpoint, a time when the soul asks, are we at peace? What still needs to be healed? Take Gloria, a 70-year-old widow who began waking up around 3 a.m. regularly. At first, she thought it was just aging. But over time, she realized she was feeling the absence of her husband most deeply in those hours. The silence of the night magnified her grief. Rather than resisting the feelings, she began keeping a journal beside her bed. Every time she woke up, she wrote one memory, one hope, or one prayer. It didn't erase the pain, but it gave it a place to go. So what can you do when emotional restlessness is keeping you awake? Journal without judgment. Even a few sentences written in a dim light can help clear emotional clutter. Use a voice recorder. Whisper your thoughts or feelings. Sometimes just saying them out loud brings relief. Keep a comforting object nearby. A photo, a letter, a small keepsake. Something that grounds you in love. Practice slow, deep breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. This calms the nervous system. Forgive yourself. Whatever memory or regret surfaces, acknowledge it, breathe, and let it soften. The mind is a powerful thing. It remembers, it wonders, it feels. And at 3 a.m., when the world is quiet, it often asks to be heard. When we stop fighting that request and start listening, we unlock a more peaceful path through the night. Coming up, we'll explore another layer of the 3 a.m. experience, one that goes beyond the body and mind. In Part 5, we'll look at the spiritual meaning behind this mysterious hour. Part 5, The Soul's Hour, a spiritual perspective on 3 a.m. Throughout history, 3 a.m. has been called many things. The hour of the wolf, the witching hour, the soul's hour. In spiritual traditions across cultures, this time, just before dawn, has often been viewed as a sacred space, a moment when the veil between the physical and spiritual world is thinnest. You don't have to believe in mysticism to feel the quiet power of 3 a.m. There's something undeniable about the stillness, the way the world pauses, the way thoughts come sharper, deeper. For some, this hour becomes a gateway, not into fear or confusion, but into clarity. From a spiritual lens, waking up at 3 a.m. can be interpreted as a call inward, your soul stirring, your intuition whispering. It might be asking, are you aligned with your purpose? Are you living in harmony with what you know to be true? Many spiritual teachers say this hour is an invitation, a sacred nudge to connect with yourself or something greater. It's when the mind is quiet and the heart can finally speak. Consider James, a 62-year-old man who had no history of spiritual practice. After retiring, he began waking up at 3 a.m. with a strange mix of energy and calm. One night, instead of turning on the TV or checking his phone, he sat in the silence. And for the first time in years, he asked himself, what do I really want in this next chapter of my life? That night marked the beginning of a new journey, for reflection, for creativity, for faith. Whether you pray, meditate, write, or simply sit in stillness, the hour between 3 and 4 a.m. can be transformed from a frustration to a sanctuary. It's not a curse. It might be a calling. Here are some gentle ways to embrace this hour spiritually. Sit quietly and breathe. You don't need a goal. Just be present. Ask a question. What am I ready to learn? What am I holding on to? What would bring me peace? Read something sacred, a passage from a favorite book, a poem, a prayer. Light a candle or listen to soft instrumental music. Let the environment guide your inner stillness. Thank the moment. Even if you return to sleep, let gratitude be your final thought. Not every 3 a.m. wake up has to be a struggle. Sometimes it's a sacred whisper in the dark, reminding you that you're still growing, still listening, still here. In the next section, we'll step back into the modern world and look at something far more practical. How technology might be keeping you up without you even realizing it. Part 6. Technology's silent disruption. How screens hijack your sleep. We often think of technology as a helpful companion, keeping us connected, entertained, and informed. But when it comes to sleep, especially for older adults, the very devices we rely on might be the ones quietly pulling us out of rest. Have you ever reached for your phone after waking up at 3 a.m.? Or fallen asleep to the soft flicker of a TV show in the background? While these habits may seem harmless, they can profoundly interfere with the brain's ability to stay asleep, and even more so, to return to sleep once it's been disrupted. Let's start with blue light. Most screens, phones, tablets, TVs, and even some LED lights emit a form of light that mimics daylight. This tricks your brain into thinking it's morning, suppressing melatonin production and increasing alertness. In other words, the moment you check your phone in the dark, your brain begins waking up, even if your body was ready to fall back asleep. And it's not just the light. The content matters too. News, emails, social media, these all stimulate emotional responses. They pull your mind into the world of urgency, comparison, and distraction. That's the opposite of what your mind needs at 3 a.m. For older adults, whose melatonin levels are already lower and whose sleep cycles are more sensitive, this stimulation has a larger impact. What might be a minor distraction for a teenager could result in hours of lost sleep for someone in their 60s or 70s. But it's not all bad news. Technology can also support better sleep if used wisely. Here are a few simple adjustments that can make a big difference. Establish a tech cutoff time. Power down screens at least 1 hour before bedtime. Choose quiet analog activities like reading, puzzles, or light conversation. Dim or eliminate light sources in the bedroom. Use blackout curtains. Cover bright alarm clocks and switch night lights to warm hues. Use night mode settings on devices. These reduce blue light emission, but remember, they're not a substitute for turning devices off. Keep your phone out of reach, place it across the room, or in another space entirely to avoid temptation. Try screen-free sleep aids, white noise machines, guided sleep meditations, or audiobooks with timers can help you drift off without visual stimulation. Eleanor, a 68-year-old grandmother, used to fall asleep watching the news. She believed it helped her relax, but after weeks of waking at 3 a.m. and scrolling through her phone in frustration, she decided to try a no screen after 9 p.m. rule. She swapped the news for soft music and a warm cup of tea. Within 2 weeks, her sleep improved dramatically, and the 3 a.m. wake-ups faded into rare occurrences. Technology isn't the enemy, but like anything powerful, it needs boundaries. And at 3 a.m., when your body is most vulnerable and your mind is most tender, giving yourself the gift of darkness and quiet might be one of the most healing choices you can make. In the next part, we'll turn to something even more foundational than sleep habits or screen time, your evening routine. Because how you end your day often shapes how you begin the next. Part 7. The power of an evening ritual. How you end the day shapes your night. We tend to think of sleep as something that begins the moment we close our eyes. But in truth, restful sleep begins much earlier, often hours before we even lie down. It starts with the rituals we create in the evening. As we age, the body responds more strongly to signals, both external and internal. That means your evening routine becomes a powerful tool for teaching your brain and body when it's time to relax, unwind, and prepare for deep sleep. Without a calming routine, bedtime can feel rushed or chaotic. You may carry the noise of the day into the night. Unfinished thoughts, worries, news stories, or mental checklists. These thoughts don't disappear just because you lie down. They stay with you, swirling quietly in your mind and often waking you up a few hours later. But with intention and care, you can create a rhythm that gently leads you into sleep and makes 3 a.m. wake-ups less likely. think of your evening like landing a plane. You wouldn't drop from the sky and slam into the runway. You descend gradually. You dim the lights. You reduce the noise. You guide your system down smoothly and safely. Let's look at a simple example. Helen, a 72-year-old retiree, used to fall asleep with the TV on. She woke up frequently and never felt truly rested. Then she started a 30-minute evening routine. At 9 p.m., she dimmed the lights, made a cup of herbal tea, played soft music, and stretched gently for 10 minutes. Then she sat quietly, writing in a gratitude journal. Within 2 weeks, she was sleeping deeper and longer, and no longer waking at 3 a.m. Here's how to build your own wind-down ritual. Set a consistent bedtime. Aim for the same sleep and wake times each day, even on weekends. Create a buffer zone. Turn off all screens at least 30-60 minutes before bed. Incorporate calming activities. Try reading, journaling, light stretching, or a warm bath. Use environmental cues. Dim the lights, turn down the thermostat, and reduce household noise. Reflect on your day. A short gratitude practice or mindful moment helps clear emotional clutter. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. A gentle ritual tells your nervous system, you're safe now. You can let go. If 3 a.m. is when your mind races or your body stirs, then 9 p.m. is where the healing begins. Create space. Slow down and let your evening carry you softly into the night. In the next part, we'll look at what happens after you wake up, because how you respond to those 3 a.m. moments can determine whether you find peace or spiral further into restlessness. Part 8. Responding at 3 a.m. What to do when you're already awake. You've done everything right. You've dimmed the lights, avoided screens, followed a calming evening ritual, and yet your eyes still open at 3 a.m. The room is silent, the clock ticks, and you're wide awake. Now what? The truth is, waking up at 3 a.m. isn't the problem. It's what we do next that determines how we feel the rest of the night and the next day. Many people fall into a loop, looking at the time, getting frustrated, reaching for their phone, or mentally replaying worries. This only deepens wakefulness and creates anxiety around sleep itself. But what if you approached these moments differently? What if you saw 3 a.m. not as a failure, but as an invitation to gently guide yourself back to rest? Let's start with what not to do. Avoid checking the time. Staring at the clock reinforces a sense of urgency and pressure, making it harder to fall back asleep. Don't turn on bright lights or reach for your phone. Avoid problem-solving, to-do lists, or analyzing why you woke up. Instead, try this. Stay in bed. Keep the lights dim. Take 3 long, slow breaths. If you notice your mind racing, say softly to yourself, "It's okay. I'm safe. Rest will return." Sometimes, just removing the pressure to sleep is enough to allow it to come back naturally. But if after 15-20 minutes you're still alert, it's okay to shift gears. Get up slowly. Keep the lights low. Do a quiet, non-stimulating activity, something calming like sitting with a warm cup of herbal tea, reading a page or two of a gentle book, listening to soft instrumental music, practicing breath work or progressive muscle relaxation, writing down your thoughts in a notebook. The goal here isn't to fix anything. It's to stay relaxed, grounded, and open to returning to sleep. You're not failing. You're responding with care. Let's revisit a real-life example. John, 74, used to wake up at 3:15 a.m. and immediately spiral, worrying about his health, his finances, his family. He'd lie awake for hours, exhausted but wired. After learning a few calming techniques, he began keeping a low lamp and journal by his bed. Now, when he wakes up, he writes down what's on his mind, sips chamomile tea, and listens to 10 minutes of slow breathing guidance. Within weeks, his wake-ups became shorter and less distressing. Another option, guided meditation. There are now countless audio resources specifically designed to soothe the mind and body back to rest. Many older adults find comfort in gentle voices reminding them they're not alone, that these moments can be peaceful. Finally, remember that even resting in bed, with eyes closed, heart calm and body still, is deeply restorative. You don't have to fall back asleep instantly to gain benefit. Your body heals in stillness too. Instead of battling your 3 a.m. wake-up, befriend it. Treat it as a soft whisper from your system, not a scream. When you offer it gentleness instead of resistance, it often fades on its own. In the next and final part, we'll tie everything together and offer you a reminder that these early hours hold more wisdom than you might imagine. Part 9. Final thoughts. What 3 a.m. might be trying to teach you. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night, staring into the dark and wondering why, know this: you're not alone. Millions of people, especially as they grow older, find themselves awake during the quietest hours. But maybe these moments aren't a problem to fix. Maybe they're an invitation to listen. Throughout this journey, we've explored the science of sleep, the melatonin shifts, the physical discomforts, the emotional echoes, and even the spiritual stirrings that make 3 a.m. a frequent visitor. We've looked at technology's role, the power of evening rituals, and what to do in those wakeful moments. But more than anything, we've looked inward, at how aging transforms not just our bodies, but our relationship with time, stillness, and rest. 3 a.m. doesn't have to be a lonely hour. It can be sacred, a reminder that you're still here, still thinking, still feeling, still growing. You've made it through years, perhaps decades of noise and motion, and now life is asking you to sit with yourself, to breathe, to reflect, to soften. Think of your 3 a.m. wake-ups as messages, not alarms. Messages from your body that say, "Care for me." Messages from your heart that whisper, "Feel this." Messages from your soul that ask, "Are you at peace?" And when you begin to meet those messages, not with frustration, but with compassion, something shifts. The pressure eases. The fear dissolves. You become the caretaker of your own rhythm. So the next time you find yourself awake in the quiet hours, try this. Place a hand gently over your heart. Feel it beating. Let that be enough. In that moment, nothing else matters. Not the to-do lists, not the clock, not the world outside. Just this breath. Just this body. Just this life you've lived and are still living. Aging is not about fading. It's about deepening. And 3 a.m. might just be the hour that proves it. Thank you for allowing this journey to unfold. Whether you're reading this at dawn or in the darkness, may you feel seen, supported, and gently reminded. You are not broken. You are becoming. Sleep well. And if you wake, may it be with kindness. If this video helped you feel understood, please consider liking, subscribing, or sharing it with someone you care about. At this stage of life, we all deserve rest, clarity, and connection. You are not alone, and your story matters.